Well, guys, it's now time for my Week 14 picks of the 2021 NFL season. And last week, finally had a good week after like a month as I went 10-4. Best week since week 17 as I have a winning record again. Finally took way too long. Unbelievable. And of course, here is the current playoff stands and the regular season stands at the season end of the day. In the AFC, it's the Patriots with the bye, with Bills at Titans, Bengals at Ravens, thank you computer for dying again, and Chargers at Chiefs. And the NFC, it's Cardinals with the bye, with 49ers at Packers, football team at Buccaneers, and the Rams at the Cowboys. And my Super Bowl pick right now would be the Buccaneers over the Patriots. Alright, so now let's get to my Week 14 picks. Start off with Thursday night tonight, as it will be big outer conference matchup, as the Steelers are at the Vikings for the first time since 2013, technically 2005 because the 2013 game was in London, remember. As the Steelers won the last one, the Vikings haven't won since 2013, and the Steelers haven't won in Minneapolis since 2005. So the Steelers got lucky, they pulled it off against the Ravens to once again stay above 500. They have a win season for the moment. Meanwhile, the Vikings, oh my god, that was really bad. You blew it against the Lions and gave them their first win of the year. Of course, not surprised, because the Vikings, as we've seen all year, cannot get above 500, and so they always have to have close games. Because remember, all their losses this year were within a score, so they could be 12-0 right now if everything went their way. That's how insane this has been so far. So, this is going to be a tough one for both teams. I almost want to say the Vikings, since they have a better record against the Steelers when they host them. And of course, they're getting a little bit away from 500, so they usually play better when they're at 500. But I'm going to pick the Steelers for this one. And then we get to a big NFC East matchup, as the Cowboys are at the football team. The football team has won the last two. The Cowboys haven't beaten them since 2019. So the Cowboys, of course, got a needed right game, beating the Saints last Thursday night. As they've struggled, they were 6-1. Now they've gone 2-3 since, as they need a win here to get their first win season since 2018. Meanwhile, the football team needs a win here after they beat the Raiders in a close one last week, as they now won 4 in a row to try to get above 500 for the first time since week 1 of last year, and match their win total from last year as well. This is going to be huge, because remember, the Cowboys got destroyed by the football team last year. And honestly, I'm not even fully sure if Dak being there would have made that much of a difference, because they really did get clobbered in those games. This is going to be a huge one, that's for sure. And you know what? I'm going to pick the football team to get it, as they have the momentum on their side. They destroyed the Cowboys last year, and of course, remember, the Cowboys have been struggling. They've gone 2-3 after starting off 6-1. And then it's the Jaguars at the Titans, as the Titans won the last 4. The Jaguars haven't beaten them since 2019. They haven't won in Nashville since 2013. And of course, the Titans are trying to have their 6th straight winning season. For the Jaguars, though, if they lose, or I believe it was all the 7-win teams, the Bills, Bengals, Colts, Chargers, and Steelers. Well, actually, Colts have their bye, so exclude them. But Chargers and Steelers win, they are eliminated from the playoffs. As the Jaguars lost again last week to, I don't even remember who. Was it the Falcons? I can't remember who they lost to, but I know they lost, because I'm an idiot. And the Titans, of course, they got crushed 2 weeks ago by the Patriots. Of course, now they're starting to have their slide without Derrick Henry, as it's just not looking good for them. And of course, they should not underestimate the Jaguars, because last time they hosted them, they put up a good one against them, so don't underestimate them. And of course, you're struggling, but I'm still going to pick the Titans for this. This should not be too hard for you to beat the Jaguars. Alright, that's the Seahawks at the Texans for the first time since 2013. As the Seahawks won the last 2, the Texans haven't beaten them since 2009. As the Seahawks tried to avoid their first losing season since 2011. As the Texans are the first team eliminated too, after they got shut out by the Colts, as they are statistically look like one of the worst teams in the league. Their offense is literally the worst. I don't think I've ever seen this, where last place in every single offensive category. That is insane. Meanwhile, the Seahawks got a needed victory over the 49ers to stay in the playoff race, and even if they lose, they're still in it for right now, but time's running out for them. They really do need to make a comeback if they want to have any shot of making it into the playoffs as a wild card team. And despite their struggles, of course, I'm picking the Seahawks for this one. It should be too hard to beat the Texans. Then, a big one, the AFC West, as the Raiders are at the Chiefs. As the Chiefs won the last two, the Raiders haven't beaten them since 2020. As the Chiefs try to get their 9th straight winning season. As the Raiders are trying desperately to stay above 500. Not go under 500, which they've not done the entire year after they lost to the football team, and to keep their playoff hopes alive. Meanwhile, the Chiefs try to get their their 9th straight win season after they almost shut out the Broncos last week, as they've now won 5 in a row, comfortably in the division lead for right now until the Chargers come up against them next week, as they're trying to keep that division lead and be right there in the mix for that home field advantage, because it's wide open. Everyone leading the division race, it's still open up right there pretty much. So I am picking the Chiefs for this one. But hey, don't underestimate the Raiders. I mean, they put up a competitive fight against you, and they did beat you last year when you hosted them, although you destroyed them early this year. But hey, you never know what could happen, so just don't underestimate them. Alright, then it's the the Saints at the Jets for the first time since 2013. As the Saints won the last one, the Jets haven't beaten them since 2013, and the Saints haven't won in New York, East Rutherford, since 2005. As the Jets, if they lose, and the combination of the Steelers, Bills, Bengals, and Chargers win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs. So the Saints, oh my God, they lost to the Cowboys in an ugly game. The score is definitely is lying about how the results are, as they've now lost 5 in a row, as they're on the verge of missing the playoffs pretty soon. Not looking good for them after Winston went down. And the Jets, of course, they lost to the Eagles, although they looked good at first, but then they just got blown out at the end, as they also look like one of the worst teams in the AFC, of course. Now, you cannot underestimate the Jets. They've done very good, solid games so far this year. If the Saints had a win record right now, then you'd definitely be very scared, because remember, almost all their wins the last 2 years have been against teams with playoff records. And of course, the Saints are struggling, as you can see, but the Saints still have a whole bunch of really good players on their team. It should be the Saints easily, but don't underestimate the Jets. Don't underestimate them. And then we get to a big one in the NFC West, NFC South. God. As the Falcons are at the Panthers. If the Panthers won the last one, the Falcons haven't beaten them since 2020. As this is big, as whoever wins this will have the second spot in the AFC South for right now. As the Falcons lost to the Buccaneers. Kind of got spanked in that one. As the Panthers are off their bye. Wait, were they on their bye? Or were they playing someone? I don't remember. Can't quite remember off the top of my head who they last played. I think it was them when they lost to the Dolphins. I think that was a while ago. I don't remember. I'm being retarded. But anyways, this is a really important one for them, as they badly need this one. This is honestly kind of difficult to tell, because both teams are just too unpredictable. The only thing going for the Panthers, at least they have that really good defense, but their offense has been so bad that you just can't fully trust them. Yeah, they beat the Falcons earlier in the year, but the Falcons also beat you earlier, last year as well when you hosted them. Basically, whoever's the away team has been winning the games lately these last few years between them. Oh boy, this is going to be a tough one. But I guess since they have the much superior defense, I guess I'll pick the Panthers, and we'll see. And then a big one in the AFC North, as the Ravens are at the Browns. As the Ravens won the last 4, the Browns haven't beaten them since 2019, and they haven't won at home since 2018, as the Ravens try to get their 5th straight winning season, as the Ravens lost to the Steelers. I honestly don't really blame them for trying to go for a 2-point conversion, but unfortunately for them, it just didn't work out at all. They were so close. It was right there. If they just hauled it, they could have gotten it and gotten the win, but unfortunately they couldn't get it. As the Browns, of course, on their bye after they lost to the Ravens last time out in that ugly defensive showdown where they had the Ravens number, they just couldn't convert it. So this is going to be a big one, as of course the Ravens are struggling. Their 8-4 record, remember I've been saying all year, is very misleading. They should honestly have the record flip, and it'd be more accurate. And you know what? Unless the Ravens put up one hell of an effort, I'm actually going to pick the Browns to get an upset. The Browns just played the Ravens 2 weeks ago. And they actually put up a good game against them. It's just they couldn't get the win when they had the Ravens number. Maybe at home now, maybe they'll finally get it. Because remember last year, they almost pulled it off that crazy Monday night game. Alright, then it's the Giants at the Chargers for the first time since 2013. As the Chargers won the last 4, the Giants haven't beaten them since 1998 and haven't won in Los Angeles or San Diego since 1989. As the Giants try to avoid their 5th straight losing season as the Chargers try to improve their win total from last year. So the Giants lost to the Dolphins last week. No surprise there. As the Chargers spanked the Bengals pretty good to match their win total from last year. That was really needed for playoff aspirations too. Get those tiebreakers. Especially since they're still only a game behind the Chiefs. They really needed that victory. And, of course, I'm picking the Chargers to get this one. Alright, then it's the Lions at the Broncos for the first time since 2019. The Broncos have won the last 2. The Lions have not beaten them since 2011. And, of course, the Lions, despite having the worst record in the league, they still actually are in the playoff race, believe it or not. But, if they lose, or the, let's see again. Can't remember off the top of my head. If they lose or the football team and 49ers win, they will be eliminated from the playoffs. But yeah, 1-10-1, they still technically are in it. As they got the first victory of the season over the Vikings. Why am I not surprised? Although they still are a bad team, as you can see. Meanwhile, the Broncos lost to the Chiefs last week, as they're still trying to stay above 500 and stay right there in the mix in that very competitive AFC playoff race. As that would be very interesting to see how they can keep this up. They should not underestimate the Lions like the Vikings did, but I'm going to pick the Broncos still to get it. Then we get to a big outer conference matchup as the 49ers are at the Bengals for the first time since 2019. As the 49ers won the last one, the Bengals haven't beaten them since 2015, and they haven't won at home since 2003. So, of course, the Bengals are trying to... Not the Bengals, the 49ers are trying to improve their record from last year and stay above 500. As they lost to the Seahawks last week, that was a tough loss. As that really hurt them. They needed that victory too. Bengals, that also hurt them losing to the Chargers, but at least they're in a little bit better spot than the 49ers right now, I believe. That this is going to be a big one. Who is going to show up for this one? That will be insane. This will be a hard-fought one. And honestly, I'm having a difficult time predicting maybe. Like, it really is that tough. Between the 49ers and the Bengals, maybe I'd slightly lead towards the Bengals, but it's not really that much. Like, it really is a toss-up who can win that one. And then we get to a bigger outer conference matchup as the Bills are at the Buccaneers for the first time since 2013. As the Bills won the last one, the Buccaneers... the Buccaneers haven't beaten them since 2013, and the Bills haven't won in Tampa since 1991. So, the Bills, lost in a defensive struggle against the Patriots. Unfortunate for them, they are underachieved in terms of wins when their record says they're much better overall. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers has beaten the Falcons last week to have a second straight win season, and of course, if they win, and the Saints and Falcons and Panthers tie, or if the Panthers lose, they will clinch not only their second straight playoff appearance, but clinch the NFC South for the first time since 2007, as they badly need that. This is going to be one hell of a matchup, though. This was supposed to be like a Super Bowl matchup, remember. This is going to be incredible. A battle between one of the elite offenses against one of the elite defenses, too, as both offenses and defenses are kind of lacking from last year right now. And you know what? I'm actually going to pick the Bills in an upset because the Buccaneers look like they're struggling a little bit more defensively in terms of offense compared to the Bills. And also the Bills, as you've seen so far, the last several weeks they've lost and then they've won. Remember, they're 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, 7-4, 7-5. So the momentum should be on their side. Maybe, the trend should be on their side unless it's broken. And I still trust them despite their record. I still trust the Bills more because they just look like the superior team on paper, as you can see. And then we get to Sunday night, which they should not have put on there ever, as the Bears are at the Packers. As the Packers won the last 5, the Bears haven't beaten them since 2018, and they haven't won in Lambeau since 2015 on Thanksgiving, as the Bears tried to avoid their first losing season since 2017, And the Packers, if they win and the Vikings lose, they'll clinch a third straight playoff appearance and third straight NFC North title. So, of course, the Bears, I already forgot because I'm an idiot. But they got crushed by the Cardinals. No surprise, too. At least Justin Fields is starting. But that team is so bad that we know nothing's going to probably change them. Meanwhile, the Packers, I believe, were on their bye after they played the Rams last week. 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, which they beat convincingly. Although they still look more like the 2019 Packers than the 2020, because they really need to have that 2020 team to have any shot of maybe win a Super Bowl, as I still have very doubts about the Packers, but of course, they're playing the Bears. That's obviously going to be the Packers for that one. And then we get to a big one on Monday night, with the NFC South and NFC West on the line, as the Rams are at the Cardinals. As the Cardinals won the last one, the Rams haven't beaten them since 2020, and the Cardinals haven't won at home since 2014, as the Rams try to get their 5th straight win season. And the Cardinals, if they win, and a couple of the, I think like the Vikings, not the 49ers, I think the 49ers actually too, and the Panthers and such lose, they will clinch their first playoffs. They'll clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2015, ending one of the longer droughts in the league. Now, of course, if this was 16 games instead of 17, they would have also won the NFC West if they beat the Rams here. But sadly, it's not. So only if they win, they still can't clinch the division yet. This is a big one, as the Rams finally ended their 3-game losing streak as they beat the Jaguars. Whoop-de-doo, beating Jaguars, though. As the Cardinals destroyed the Bears, as they still have that home field advantage locked up right now in the NFL. In the NFC side, I mean to say. And, of course, remember, the Cardinals destroyed the Rams back in Week 4. So, the advantage is on the Cardinals, as I'm going to pick them to do it, too. Alright, so those are my picks for Week 14. I cannot wait for Steelers at Vikings tonight. So, my picks to wrap it up. Steelers over the Vikings. Football team over the Cowboys. Titans over the Jaguars. Seahawks over the Jets. Chiefs over the Raiders. The Saints over the Jets, Panthers over the Falcons, Browns over the Ravens, Chargers over the Giants, Broncos over the Lions, Bengals over the 49ers, Bills over the Buccaneers, Packers over the Bears, and Cardinals over the Rams. So see you guys next time for Week 15.